Good morning. Can you guys hear me? We're still going to start in about a minute, but I just want to make sure that you guys can actually hear me. This is my first time doing a YouTube live, so I'm not really sure if it's going to work, how it's going to work, or whatever. But I'm happy that there's just some people here, so thank you for that. That was first problem number one, was wondering if anybody was actually going to show up. Coffee in hand. I hope everybody's got their coffee. And again, for some of you, I know this is very, very, very early, and I hope that the chat's worth it. Yeah, do things, like stuff, whatever. Well, I appreciate it. Like I said, it's my biggest fear was that yeah, nice penthouse, nice green screen. Was that people were not going to be here and not going to be interested, but hey, right now it seems like there's 30 of you here, and that's good enough for me. One would have been good enough for me, but what we can't do is poke around and waste too much time. I don't want these to take forever for you guys. I know you have weekends and you've got a lot of things to do, as do I. But this kind of stuff is important because it's the things that traders don't talk about. And the thing about what I'm trying to create here is the fact that I know what makes trading difficult. Some people suffer from a lot of different reasons why it's not working for them. Other people suffer from just a few reasons as to why it's not working for them. But the fact of the matter is, there's a very select set of issues that creates what feels like an impossibility to progress in this business. So what I'm going to do over the course of each week going forward is I will ask you guys, what do you want to talk about? And that's why the name of this thing is going to be Let's Talk About It. It's not necessarily going to go over technicals unless that's what the topic entails. We're going to try to stay on topic. Okay, so in these sessions, I don't want to get into investment advice and this, that, and the other thing. Let's stick to topic if you guys don't mind. And if you have questions specifically, I will have time during the stream where you guys can ask questions. What I'd first like to do is go over the topic, explain why it's a problem for people, and how to resolve it. And then from there, we'll go into a Q&A and go over it. I hope to keep these things 30 minutes to an hour max. Because like I said, I don't want to take up too much of your time. It's the weekends. A lot of you woke up for this. A lot of you have things to do after this. And so I'm cognizant of your time. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and get started. Today's topic, as you know, or may not know, is how to overcome fear while trading. Now, it's important to know, first of all, that a lot of us feel alienated when we're struggling, right? Especially if you're in a trading community, whether it's mine or somebody else's, you're probably finding yourself surrounded by people that seemingly do very well at this and make it look easy. Let me be the first to tell you that there is nothing easy about day trading. Absolutely nothing. There are a bunch of things that make it difficult. It's not usually the strategy. The strategy is usually the easy part. It's the emotions and fear and hesitation and all the things that come along with those strategies. It's really easy for people like me to say, or anybody who's actually gotten past most of these issues, to say, guys, just stop being scared. Stop being afraid. Stop doing this. Stop doing that. as a mentor and a teacher, I am trying to remind you guys to stop doing it, knowing how difficult it is to stop doing the things that are making it so hard. So please don't take it as me being impatient with you or upset with you in any way. That's not the case. It's just I want better for you, and I'm going to be here for as long as you'll have me, trying to teach you or remind you that you keep making the same mistake, or hey, this is what happened and why. But anyway, the topic: how to overcome fear while trading. You gotta backwards engineer problems to really understand what's causing them in the first place. And so I think that that's huge in learning. Which is, number one, what causes fear in the first place? Now, if you're anything like me, most of us took our first trade with a little bit of fear, but an exciting type of fear, right? Probably a small position size, just to get your feet wet, just to understand how it works, how the platform works, how buying a call or buying a put works, all those things. And whatever damage or good came from that probably didn't ruin you in any way. It just, you get the jitters out. But as we move forward in this business, we develop bad habits, or we start to do things that make that jittery problem not so much jitters and more of a true fear. But what causes fear? Very simply, money loss, inconsistency or lack of progress, lack of knowledge and understanding in what we're doing. Those are the main things that cause fear, okay? And we all deal with them as traders, right? Because we've all lost chunks of money. We've all been inconsistent. We've all been frustrated that we're not moving forward in this journey fast enough. And a lot of us are on our 17th style of trading because you're not finding the consistency or an understanding or lacking knowledge on another strategy, right? I'm sure, because I did it too, that many of you guys are finding me after you've gone through five other Discord communities, or 5 other YouTubers, or 10 or more, or different strategies. I know I had a bad habit of trying a strategy, and if it didn't work within 3 or 4 trades, I jumped over to the next one, which usually included a bunch of new indicators and everything else. But we never really give any one of these strategies a real chance, and that's kind of what's causing us to be inconsistent. Now, the results. So the results of fear in trading end up putting us in a cyclical loop of negativity, we'll call it, right? So when we trade fearful, we create hesitation, and we get frustration, and desperation sets in, and FOMO comes as a result of that. And then the problem is we get stuck in that particular cycle, right? So it's really easy to get into the fear category, but once we're there, it seems impossible to get out. And the reason you're in there and you're not able to get out is because the fear is creating additional problems. Those additional problems keep stacking more and more fear into what you're doing, until ultimately most people walk away or give up. And that's understandable. It's understandable because it feels like you'll never get out. And that's the truth. It just 95% of retail traders, day traders especially, don't make it. And it's not because you're stupid or you don't necessarily have the mind power to understand how to do this. It's the emotional side of it that's making you feel like you're stupid or not good enough, or like you'll never get it. Okay. How do we resolve the issue that is fear? Well, the first thing I tell everybody who is trading fearful is scale down. Scale down. Scale down. You have to bring your cost of your trades to a point where the cost of the trade isn't adding to the fear. Because we've all taken a trade that was too big for our britches. And even when the trade is going in your favor, you cut it short on the win side. And God forbid it goes against you when you're playing too big. You can't stomach taking the loss, so you become a hold and hoper. right? But if we trade a position size that isn't adding to the emotion of the trade, you can start to at least trade the plan to its fullest extent. Meaning, you want to get in, your plan is to get in here, your plan is to exit there if it's for profit and to stop out here for a loss, right? If you're playing a position size that is meaningless to you dollar-wise, you will be more likely to follow that plan all the way out, one way or the other, right? So you have to scale back. You have to, because then you'll find out if you can even trade the strategy properly without being influenced by your fear or emotions. So you've got to scale down. Now, the downside to scaling down is the fact that when it wins, you're not going to be happy with your P&L, most likely. Everybody's in this business to try and make money. That's understandable. But I'm trying to tell you that you're not going to make money until you understand how to do it consistently. You should not, the goal for you should not be aiming for a dollar amount until you know how to make any dollar amount on a regular basis. Okay? That's the misconception with trading. Too many people get into this, and I did it too, and treat it like a casino. Sometimes you're going to win, sometimes you'll win big, but you'll also lose really big. Okay? You can lose really, really big, as most of us have done at some point in time or another. So scaling down, one way to resolve the issue of fear. I would say it's probably the most important thing you should do to fix that particular issue. Another one, be patient. This is something I lack severely. I've never been shy about telling people where my personal faults are as a trader. Patience is one of them. Now, the reason I'm impatient, it doesn't make it the right thing, but it's why I'm impatient. And you don't have to answer me, but I'll say it to you like this. How many of you have been patient? You don't play the open, you don't play the first 10 minutes, whatever your rules are. But during that time of you not trading, you've seen enough of the market that makes you uncomfortable price action wise, or how many times you would have taken a trade if you weren't patient and it wouldn't have worked out. You know, there comes a time where you've seen enough of the chart that you've lost confidence in the chart, and therefore that's going to create hesitation and fear before you even take your first trade. That's my problem. So I like to get in early, be out early, and be done so I don't see something that makes me uncomfortable to not do anything, right? I'll freeze. Deer in a headlight kind of look. It doesn't make it the right reason to be impatient, though. We should always try and condition ourselves to trust the chart, not our hearts, okay? So be patient. The next one, and this is one of the biggest ones that people don't understand. Trade less. Trade less. I've been doing this for 4 years, guys. 3 very solid years of teaching other people. You have to understand, there are very few people that can trade all day on a consistent basis that continuously make their days more green. Meaning, most people will get in if their first trade is green, regardless of the amount. We're not even talking about dollars here. You get into the trade, you make your money. Now, only you tell yourself that that's not good enough. It's not enough money, right? So as a result, you go in for a second trade. Now, we're going to keep the emotion side of this out of the equation for now, but just know that every trade you take after your first one has got emotions baked into it from the previous one. That's a fact. You can't deny it. I don't care who you are. It's not even an arguable topic. But how many of you have had your first green trade, go in for more to make it a more green day, only to walk away with less? It doesn't even have to be a red day. But I could tell you from doing what I do for years that the number is too high to ignore. Too high to ignore. And what I mean by that is the number of people who have told me consistently that they were more green at one point in the day than they were by the time they stopped trading, it's in the upper 85+% of traders, right? And it's not that you forget how to trade. That's not it at all. The strategy doesn't change, right? Even if you stay the course and trade the same strategy. What does change, though, is your emotions, your emotional state. The only reason you took a second trade is because emotionally you weren't happy with the amount you made on the first one. And that becomes the reason, the driving factor for you to take the second trade. So I do believe that if you were to get in, and I'll ask you this one question. Would your account today, your account balance, be in a better standing right now if you walked away after your first trade every day that you were green instead of continuing to trade? Now, I haven't found a single person, not one, that has told me that their account wouldn't be better today if they walked away after every green day. Not one. And if your first trade is red, oh, but Jimmy, I don't want to have a red day. I understand. Nobody wants to have a red day. But how many times have you made that red day worse because you didn't want to take a red day? I'm telling you guys, this business is a mind screw. It will destroy you. But it's all because of us. It's us. It's not the market. It's not the market makers. It's nothing else. It's us as traders. We do this. We make this problem a problem. Right? I'm just trying to bring it to your attention because most people would look at me and put their noses up saying, trade less. What the hell does this guy know? And that brings me to the final point on how to resolve the issue of fear. So we've covered scaling down. Okay, that'll allow you to follow the strategy more properly. Be patient. Wait for the right trade setup. Okay? If you wait for the right trade setups, naturally, you're probably going to take fewer trades. Right? There's a lot of people out there that are constantly trying to make a trade out of every move on the chart. That's not the right way to do it. I mean, you can do it, but the probabilities matter, right? There's a lot of people out there that would also argue that there's a 50-50 chance to win or lose on a trade. I don't agree with that. Obviously, every trade can win and can lose. But I would also tell you that you can absolutely wait for the trades that have a much higher chance than 50% of winning. And there's several people in our Discord community that have win rates well above 50, 60, 70, and even 80%. That's not luck. It might be luck on one day, but if you can consistently have a win rate over 80%, that's not luck. You're just waiting for the right setup. Okay? So be patient. And then you will take fewer trades. And then once we get our trade, right? We're swimming in a pool of sharks. The more times we jump into that pool, the more likely we are to get bit by the shark. That is the market. So once we've made our money or lost your money, go get your towel, walk away, and come back and swim in the pool again tomorrow. Okay? So walk away. Walk away. Walking away is one of the hardest things for us to do. Now, one of my favorite things to show my traders in my community is this image right here. Can you guys see that? I don't know if it shows up on the live. I mean, I see it on my screen, but do you guys see that ladder? Can you see it? Let me make it a little bit bigger for you. This right here, we strive to be the guy on the right. This guy over here. We've all tried to be the guy on the left. We've all tried to hold on to our trades longer, take more trades, scale up so that we can get to the top of the ladder faster. Only to find that we end up on the ground more often than to the top of the ladder. Okay? My style of trading and my way of teaching is to teach you how to be this guy. Because the beauty of consistency, and when you gain it, is that not only are you consistently growing your account, even if it's a little bit at a time, the more important thing you're doing is rebuilding your confidence, which is how you can get rid of fear. You cannot be trading fearless without confidence. And the only way you're going to gain confidence is by waiting for proper trade setups and winning more often. Okay? There is a right way to do this, guys, and a wrong way to do it. Most people can teach a strategy, but that's where it ends. Right? That's where it ends. Most people could teach a strategy, but they don't go past that. The strategy is the easy part of trading. The emotional side of it is what wrecks you. Fear being the biggest one, right? There's been many a times where you're too afraid to take a trade, even though the setup is good. And then what happens? You don't take the trade, you see that it worked out, you get frustrated, and then you invent a new trade that you see that ends up costing you money because it wasn't a good trade. Has that happened to anybody else, or is that just a me thing? Sorry, I'm gonna get myself a coffee. Right? So the hesitation side, due to fear, creates bigger problems. And that's why scaling down. There is no single thing that is going to fix struggling as a day trader. There's a right way to do things, right? And then there's the wrong way to do things. And unfortunately, so many of us try and make too many changes at one time. And if it ends up resulting in a temporary fix, or it feels like a temporary fix at the time, you don't know what to attribute it to. You don't know if it was your position size. You don't know if it was your ability to understand price action better. I mean, how many people have added more indicators to their charts simply because fewer of them didn't seem to make them a profitable trader? And with that, I would ask, how much better has your wins gotten because you have more indicators on your charts? For most people, the answer is no more wins, and some people it's even less. Right? You got to have a great reset. You have to have a reset. You got to go back to square one. You've got to go back to a position size where if it works out, you're not going to make a lot of money, but you're also not going to lose a lot of money, right? You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised as to how much more comfortable you will be in your trades. Even if it went to zero, there's no fear of you going broke or blowing up your account. That in and of itself is a huge start to learning how to trade consistently. Right? So, with that said, I would like to answer any questions that you guys have regarding this topic. Okay, we don't want to get off topic too much because it'll turn into a 3-hour session, which I'm not opposed to, other than I have soccer with my daughter this morning or this afternoon. But we also need things to talk about in future Saturdays. So, does anybody have any questions that I can answer for them directly regarding fear, or a situation you're in that you're unsure of, or do you think we covered the topic well enough that you have some bullet points to focus on and start working on? I mean, my first suggestion would be for you guys to scale back to a dollar amount that means nothing to you. That also means you're not going to make money that means anything to you either. Okay? Meaning, if you're playing, it's all relative, right? If you're playing a $20 contract or a $30 contract, you can't expect to make a $30, $40, $50 return. That's not how it works, unless we get this crazy move, and it is what it is, right? But under normal circumstances, you need to focus on executing the strategy properly, buying in on your pullbacks, checking your charts to make sure there's room to move. You know, I'm not gonna teach you how to trade a different strategy than I do, because I mean that doesn't make any sense. I need to teach you guys how to do what works for me, especially in this market. I mean, there's been days this past couple of weeks that I've been actually afraid to trade myself. How many of you guys have gotten comfortable with your contracts costing 3, 4, and 5 times the normal amount, and then seeing on a regular basis single candles that are $1, $2, $3, just like it's normal? Dude, right now, guys, I think my strategy shines because we're in and out of our trades in minutes, not hours, not 15, 20 minutes at a time. And you can get really, really hurt and start the fear factor all over again if you get caught on the wrong side of some of these candles. Santos asked, on SPY or SPX, do you trade always? Good way to keep it on topic. I trade the first strike out of the money every time on SPX, but I would do the same thing on SPY as well. All right. I have no indicators on my chart and forced a long reset of small trades, and my win rate for April is great. Also try to do one and more. Yeah. So you're trading less and you're relying on the best indicators you have available to you guys, which is right here. Your eyeballs, guys. And the only reason you don't want to try trading without indicators is because you lack confidence in yourself. And you lack that confidence in yourself because, well, you've done enough damage to your account in your trading strategies or whatever. So you have no confidence in yourself. I'm telling you guys, you can all do this. You can all do this. And I wish this every day. If there was a magic wand, I wish I could get you guys as brand new traders. But sadly, a lot of folks here have found me after they've done a lot of damage to themselves in their accounts. And so I have to work on trying to get you to grow your confidence back in yourself, which is why it takes a lot of people in our community a fair amount of time to go from losing to break even to profitable. But there is no shortage, guys. We have just over a 70% win rate as of April 1st in our community as a whole, right? That's huge. Okay. 70% win rate is something that just about any day trader would pretty much kill for. Now, prior to the tariff talks and everything that's going on, we had over an 80% win rate as a community. So it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. But all right, let's see. Adam asked a question. Adam, can you repost your question? I didn't see it. It seems to have moved up too much. The cost has brought some fear to me. I moved further out of the money, and that was a mistake. Yes, and Mike, you know what I say about that, guys. If the cost of your trades, of your normal trade, meaning you don't want to change your strikes, okay? Don't change your strikes to bring the cost of your trade down to a price that you're comfortable with. If you're currently trading multiple contracts, I would suggest that you scale down on the size, but don't change the strike. And the reason you shouldn't change your strike is because just because the trade costs more doesn't mean your percentage return on a move that you're used to is going to produce more. Okay. And what I mean by that is, let's say you normally take a trade that costs you $100. We move 10%, you make your $10. Okay. So it's $10 profit. If that same trade costs $1,000 and it moves 10%, it's still 10%. And you start to correlate in your brain, but the trade cost me $1,000. I should be up way more money. That's not the way it works. Okay. Volatility is what's controlling the cost of these contracts. And it just, if you change your strike price, then you're not going to get the same 10%. You're going to get 6% or 5%. And then you're going to look at that profit and you're going to say, this is not what I'm used to. And it's going to force you to want to hold on to the trade longer, even though you know you shouldn't. And because of that, you're going to end up becoming a hold and hoper or not be happy with your returns, even if you close the trade. But that's most likely going to cause you to take a second trade afterwards, which, as we know, statistically speaking, more trades is going to cause you more problems, not more money. Let's see. Yeah, Best Loser Wins a great book. It's one of my favorite trading books. One of the only two that I've ever read. And 3, I guess, if you count my own. How to know when to cut or loser mentally. Like, you know it's a bad trade, but you still can't cut it. You have to use mechanical stops. It's a great trade, Hostel, or a great question. Mechanical stops, especially in a market like we're dealing with right now, are very difficult to deal with. And the reason for that is because how quickly these candles are moving and wicks and all that stuff. You'll get knocked out of trades left and right with mechanical stops. The one thing I can tell you is once if you know you need to get out of that trade, I can't be there to push the button for you. You have to just mark it out of the trade, or put a stop loss deep in the loss area, not 100%, right? If your normal stop loss is 10%, a 10% stop loss, make it 30 or 40%, something so that if you do turn into a hold and hoper, there's a stopgap there to take you out of the trade, because at that point you probably won't do it on your own, and you don't want to fall into that situation, right? Losing 40% of your initial investment is better than losing 100% of your initial investment. Okay, that is a very difficult thing for people to accept and understand, myself included. When I become a hold and hoper, I'm willing to let my trade go to zero, which is the dumbest thing you can do, right? But at the same time, I'm also playing a position size that if it did go to zero, I can afford that, and it's not going to blow up my account. It's going to make me very unhappy, but I'm not going to, it's not going to ruin my day, my week, or my life, right? So there's a different, there's a difference there. Yes, you guys plan every trade, every day. Here's another way to remove fear. Okay, I trade SPX, Briggs, but it's just for the leverage and the tax benefits. But with that said, if you plan your trades in advance, guys, there should be less fear involved in the trade, right? Because if you trade, we do it every day in our Discord. We're able to spot these trades usually at least a minute, 2, 3, maybe 4 minutes before they even happen. Sometimes more than that, right? And that's just understanding the strategy, trusting price action, and saying, hey, well, we're putting in lower highs, which means we should be looking for puts. What's the trigger for the put? Know where that is. Once it triggers, go for it. Trust the odds, trust the probabilities. Do it with a small position size until you gain your confidence. Once you have the confidence and you're being consistently green, scale up. The money will follow. The money will follow. You don't chase the money first. That's how you end up broke. You chase consistency. Because with consistency comes confidence. That's the real commodity that you're trading here, guys, is your confidence. That's it. Because once it's gone, the money doesn't matter anymore. If you lack confidence in trading, the money is a byproduct, right? The money is what keeps you trying to trade, right? Because we all want money. We all want to make more money. We all want to quit our day jobs. We all want to retire one day. But if you lack confidence, you're going to go the wrong way. You're going to go backwards. You're going to go backwards. Let's see. If you recommend one and done trades, do you think that how much we are losing on the first trade should be a lot like enough to stop trading for a day? I'm not sure what you mean by that, but what I could tell you is this, and let's touch on this topic really quick because I think it could be a whole nother topic for a whole nother video or a live stream that would fall under the greed category, basically, which is what next Saturday's is going to be covering, right? Greed in trading. But think about it like this. If your first trade is red for the day, right? First trade's red. How red probably is going to determine how your second trade goes. But let me ask you one simple question. Two questions, actually. First one, how many times were you red on the day and then tried to trade your way out of it only to make it a bigger problem? Again, if you don't know the number, and I don't expect people to do it, I know you know what I'm talking about because we've all done it. Start keeping track. Start keeping track, guys, on a little notepad, piece of paper next to your keyboard. How many times, even if your first trade was green, you continued to trade, but at the end of the day, ended up less green than after your first trade? Keep track of how many times that has happened to you. Make the numbers slap you in the face. Say to yourself, God, so that means that 17 times or 16 times in the last month, if I would have just walked away after my first trade, whether it was red or green, I would have made more money than I did. And the same thing goes on to the losing side, right? If you walk away after a red day, knowing that more times than not you make it worse, not better, you're going to lose less money too by taking fewer trades. So the second question I would have for you is, you took your first trade, it was red. Obviously, you're considering taking a second trade because nobody wants to finish the day red. I'm guilty of it. And sorry, my camera was going to move. And that's a tough thing to get past, right? Nobody wants to end a green streak. Nobody wants to turn a green month red. There's some people that are red on the month, but one more trade, one more green day will make them green on the month for the first time ever. We will come up with every reason to continue to trade throughout the day, guys. Okay? Every reason. Then what we forget about is the fact that when we do that, most of us don't get more green. We make a bigger problem. So let's go back. You make your first trade, it's red, regardless of the amount, right? You're going to take your second trade. How many of you have taken that second trade, the trade's working out for you, but you haven't made up for the red from the first trade yet? How many of you held on to that winning trade longer because you want to make sure that you outdo the red from the first trade? Meaning you're down $100, you get into a second trade, you're up $80, $90, you're $10 away from breaking even on the day. You know you should be getting out of that trade because the chart's screaming at you. We're at resistance. We're not going to move up anymore. You hang on anyway, right? And then that brings in a whole different problem, right? So now you were up $90. You were only down on the day $10, which is manageable. The trade hits resistance, starts coming against you. Then, this is a big one. Then we get into this problem where we remember, because you won't forget how much you were once up on that trade. You say, man, I had $90. I should have taken it when we were at resistance. I didn't. I'll wait till we get up there again, and then I'll take it. How many of you have said that in your trades? I've done it so much that I leave extra money on the table all the time because of this problem for me. So what happens if we don't make it back to that profit level? We end up holding the trade as it goes farther and farther against us. And then next thing you know, we allow it to become a hold and hoper. It's so bad, guys. It's so bad. But you got to be aware that you have these issues, right? This doesn't make you a weird person. I'm just trying to bring to your attention that we all suffer from the same things. And until you're aware of what your problems are, you don't know what to fix. In fact, you don't even know that there are problems that need fixing until it's too late. Which is a problem, a big problem. So you have to really, really know who you are as a person. You've got to be willing to say, yeah, this is where I suck. This is where my problems are as a trader. And so you don't necessarily have to fix them, but avoid them, right? The number one thing that I could tell you that helped me identify in myself, I found that my win rate drops below 50% after 12 o'clock, right? And naturally, most people who don't want to walk away after they're green for the day will say, well, I got to figure out how to make it work so I can trade after 12 o'clock. Well, it turned out the best resolve for that problem for me was to just stop trading after 12 o'clock. So when you have a win rate north of 90% before 12 o'clock, south of 50% after 12 o'clock, well, just drop the losing side of that deal, and guess what? Your win rate stays 90%. That's the fix. That's the fix. So do you recommend sticking to one trade, even if it's a loser? So if you lose, just stop. I would say fewer trades produces bigger wins in the long run. The problem is I want you guys to see it for yourselves. I want you to start keeping track. And TradeZilla, by the way, is a fantastic software that tells you. It tells you when and what happens, right? Delane, one of our members, showed this to me. I didn't even know it existed. It pops up in real time and says, hey, we're finding that the days you take more than 3 trades a day, your win rate's a lot lower and you make less money. Oh, and hey, we noticed that at one point you were green on the day, but you ended up closing negative $99. So the software is telling you your over trading is taking away your money, and you've got to keep track of this stuff so that you see it in black and white. You have to see it in the numbers so that you trust it. I mean, nobody wants to listen to some guy on YouTube, right? It's very difficult. How many of us have said, all right, how many of you have tried to reinvent a strategy? Does anybody out there really believe that there is a strategy in trading that exists that has never been tried? And that's just like, you're going to find this groundbreaking way of trading that gives you a 100% win rate? Guys, there's nothing new in the market. It's all been tried. It's all been tested, right? No matter what tweaks you put on it is not going to change the results, right? Somebody out there is trading each strategy the right way, and it's as good as it's ever going to be. But because of our lack of patience and our desire to get to the finish line as fast as possible, we try to invent a new way to be better than everybody else, right? That's a problem. That's a big problem because you're trying to reinvent the wheel, and you're not going to find a way to do it. There are no shortcuts in this. None. There's no shortcuts other than hard work, education, emotional control, and discipline. You will not find a consistently winning trader that lacks patience and discipline. Zero. You won't find it. It doesn't exist. There's nobody out there who has consistency that gained it just by being lucky. You can be consistent for a week, maybe a month, on luck, but there is not a simple one. There's not a single one out there that has found consistency without discipline and patience and emotional control. Not a single one. I mean, the people in our group, you guys tell me all the time, man, Jimmy, I wish I had your discipline. Guys, how do you gain the discipline? You lose enough money to dislike the results of losing more than lacking the discipline. You have to dislike losing money more than trading more, if that makes sense. That's what you have to do. I hate losing. I hate losing so much that it's the reason I trade less. It's the reason I trade less. I hate losing so much. And truthfully, There's a big part of the reason I hate losing is because I'm trading in front of hundreds of people. I don't want to look bad in front of people. Nobody wants to look bad in front of people. And at the same time, I'm trying to be a role model for the folks who are over trading, right? I'm trying to show them, hey, if you just walk away or you just wait for the setup or you just do it right, then you won't need to trade more, right? We gotta set our goals, guys, in reality. Stay off of YouTube, Wall Street bets and listen, the people that get rich doing this, especially quickly, are far and few between. It's not normal. It's not regular. It's not even likely. But, there is a right way to do it. And when you do it the right way, you will be rewarded in the way that you hope to be rewarded. All right, let's see here. And one of my favorite sayings ever. And this is for the people who, and again, this was told to me by somebody I wish was still active in our community. Is the one guy I ever turned to, and the greatest, Peter, if you're out there, I miss you, brother. He said something to me that hit me like a ton of bricks. And it was this: Jimmy, don't walk past the $20 bill on the ground in hopes of finding 100 around the corner. So in other words, take all the money you can get until you can afford to walk past the $20 on the ground. That right there was one of the biggest things I had to learn as a trader. Take the money, grow the account, grow the confidence, because when you grow the account, you grow the confidence, then you can wait for that $100 bill around the corner. It is one of the most impressive things anybody has ever said to me as a trader. And I use that line often. I do. Guys, and the other thing I want to bring to your attention, because it's very easy to lose sight of what good money is. How many of you at one point or another in your trading careers have made $100 in less than an hour's time in the market? I mean, I know people that make $100 in a minute or less. That's position size. How many of you guys have made $100 in less than an hour at some point in time during your trading career? I know for me, I've done it, right? And then we look at it and we say, well, I'm only up $100 on the day. A lot of people out there don't even make $100 a day in 8 hours at their day job. You got to keep that shit in perspective. You have to, because if you don't, it'll never be good enough. How many of you guys wake up for an 8-hour workday knowing you're going there for 8 hours to make $200? Yet when you're in the stock market and you make that same $200 in 30 minutes, that's not good enough. Why is that? That's greed. And that's the topic for next Saturday's conversation. So with that said, I will field any more questions. Otherwise, we'll say our goodbyes and we can shut it down. As I told you, I'll try to keep it within 30 minutes to an hour. Do you guys have any other questions that you'd like me to answer to the best of my ability? Again, if I don't know an answer to a question, guys, I'll be the first one to tell you that I don't know enough about it to speak intelligently on it. I'm not afraid to say what I do and what I don't know. But if you ask me a question that I'm passionate about, I'll give you all of me. Right, Lisa? So if you guys don't have any more questions, the first thing I want to tell you is that I really, really appreciate the fact that you guys showed up. As far as I could see, it looked like 90 of you came to watch this, which was one of my biggest fears. Having never done a YouTube live, I don't know if it was going to work, let alone people showing up. So thank you for that. And we're going to do it again next weekend, next Saturday, 9 o'clock, same time, same thing. Bring your coffee. And the following session is going to be greed, how to overcome greed while trading. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. I'd like to thank you all once again. I hope you enjoy the rest of your fine weekends, and have a happy Easter, and we will see you on Monday. All right, guys. See you. Love you.